let's take a look at how this conversation took place, because this is now, all over the place.
Would you ever perform in Israel?
People have been wanting to. People have been trying to get me to watch this for some time now.
No.
You would not.
No.
Why? They would accept you.
I don't accept them.
You don't accept Israel, the state of Israel.
No, I don't accept them taking care of me getting in. That's no problem. The problem is when you go in Israel, it's not about going in Israel or not. It's that the fact that they really show you a terrible time. You go in.
Yeah, this is like one of the major reasons why I worry about going into the region as well. This is like a very common perspective shared by Arabs, is that Israel does a very, very horrible job of showing you appreciation for your tourism or your patronage. Doom Chimo, Moses C, and Franklin N, thank you for the 5 get the subs. Doomed Chimo, thank you for the 5 get the subs as well. All right.
In the security, they treat you like shit.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I've been invited by Palestinians a lot to go to there. And so, like, I would go to you, but, like, I don't want.
What do you mean? Not if you're on birthright, Lamau. Brother, yeah, at that point, you're not visiting Israel as an Arab. You're visiting Israel as a Jewish person. It's very different. Remember, this is not my designation. There are plenty of Arab Jews in Israel, but Israel considers them to be Jewish and not Arab.
I want to deal with the border control of Israel. It's just because they humiliate you.
And that's because you're Arab, or that's because
I'm Arab.
But they have 20% of their population is Arab. They're not leaving.
Yeah, but they're treating them like shit.
Are you Arab? No, I am not Arab. I'm Turkish. But, I am Muslim. And that's enough.
Not according to them. I've seen them. I've met them.
I met them too. I mean, they don't have, like, you talking about the 20% of Palestinians?
I'm talking about the 20% of Israelis are Muslims, are Arabs.
Yeah.
If given a choice to move to any other Middle Eastern country, given the state of circumstances of the Middle East, they would choose 100 times out of 100 to stay in the democracy of Israel.
That's so awesome. That's so great. Source, I made it the fuck up. 2 things that are really funny. This is, by the way, the same attitude about like America too. It's like, given the opportunity, plenty of people would live in America instead of the countries that America bombs. And it's like, yeah, you know what would be better though? If America wasn't bombing those other countries, and then people could just like live there on their own without America interfering in their affairs. I'm certain that plenty of people would much rather live in a circumstance where America is not bombing their countries. Okay? It's also a ridiculous statement to make, especially when you have millions of Palestinians who willingly choose to live under the Israeli occupation despite the circumstances, despite Israel's best efforts to make them not want to live there. They personally still choose to live there because that is their ancestral land. They withstand the tremendous amount of oppression that they are subjected to, specifically in the West Bank. I don't know if you know this, but it is very difficult for Palestinians living in the West Bank to return back into the West Bank if they leave the West Bank.
Why don't they leave?
Have you talked to them about their healthcare and their schools? Because they're about like 25 Arab cities that they don't have hospitals or schools. They have to take
in Gaza and the West Bank.
No, I'm talking about inside Israel. I'm talking about Arabs with Israeli passports, fully fledged Israeli citizens. They don't have a single cinema. They don't have a single hospital. They don't have a single school in their cities, and they have to go to the Jewish states in order to go there. There are many, 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 many daily microaggressions against the Arabs who live in Israel, having the Israeli passport. Even within the Israeli community, you have slurs like Arabi Malukhlakh, which actually that's their N-word. I mean, I can go on and on and on
But
about
slurs are going to be everywhere. In America, where
Yeah,
we're all equal, there's slurs.
Yeah,
Right, that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. America, notoriously not racist country. Which, by the way, once again, America is also notoriously a racist country, right? However, having said that, and I stand by the statement that I've made time and time again, the conditions of Palestinians under the Israeli apartheid rule is far worse than the conditions of racism that black and brown people are subjected to in the United States of America. Just want to point that out for those of you who don't comprehend this, okay? And we talk about bettering the conditions of our fellow Americans that are marginalized, discriminated against by the violent, oppressive structures of our white supremacist criminal justice system, for example, the violent, oppressive constructs that we are subjected to under the auspices of capitalism. We talk about that all the time here. Something to remember.
Every day I get called a dirty Jew. You think I'm crying?
no, I bet like every day here, if you find someone's like nigger, that would be not
Like basically 200 years of America.
exactly. But
That was insane. Okay, what the... Okay, that was wild. Did not know that that was coming up. That's insane that he just said that. That's crazy. Bro, did he do a tactical N-word deployment to show that the word doesn't hurt him? Is that what it is? He did a tactical N-word deployment to show his interlocutors that the word does not threaten him. Didn't it sound like it was his first time saying it that fast? The Libsville guy that loved this guy for that? Yeah, that was insane. He didn't just drop it one time. He dropped it like a lot of times. It's probably because we are called sand N-words all the time. Yeah, dude, but you still said sand N-word. Notice how you said that? And same thing with me. I get called that too. I'm a lot paler than Bassem is, and yet I get called that all the time. I'm not going to say it. He machine gunned it? Yeah, he said it like he was the advisor to Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan. You know what I mean?
But like when you have like one part of them was much more stronger, and actually control the other one, and all they do is like slurs because the Arabs cannot do slurs against the Jews.
So why don't they leave?
Well, some of them actually, because it is basically between like a shock and a hard place. Yeah, the whole idea about like Arabs living a wonderful life, they're living good life.
The black delegation is choosing to overlook this because the other guys are more annoying. Why did no one call him out? Are you kidding me? Because he's sitting across from right-wing shitheads, dog. Why would they call him out? That'd be really funny if they did. They'd be like, wow, dude, only we get to say it racistly. You can't say it at all, as a matter of fact. Also, why did they not call him out? Because guess what, dude? That's valuetainment, okay? Are you not valuetained? I'm going to keep saying that. Oh, Jesus. I love saying that. Are you not valuetained? Patrick, but David.
Compared to other Arabic countries, which is a really low bar. And the fact that like can use like a low bar to sell, and at least they're happy now. It's like I'm living here because I don't know where else to go.
I appreciate you saying that because the bar in many Middle
Like, I appreciate you saying that. I love that you said the N-word.
Eastern countries is very low.
I'm not coming here to defend any countries.
I know you're not. I'm asking what countries you would go on tour.
I'm just saying that the security and the equality that Israel wants you to think that they have it between all of their Arabs, it is not true. They have something called zoning committees, where you, as an Arab, coming in to get an auction, to get a house in a Jewish town, you will not be allowed to take it. And it happened more and more and more ago.
One thing to always consider for those of you who are unfamiliar with this process, many of the things that Israel does, okay, in its daily maintenance of the apartheid regime are so brutal, so gruesome, and so openly, indefensibly racist that when someone describes them to you, at first, it is perfectly normal to go, hold on, is that real? Okay? Especially because you probably never heard of these things before, because guess what? The American media never covers it. Okay? So when you hear that, you go, what? No, this is the only democracy in the Middle East. What are you talking about? Okay?
Before, it happened in Nazarit Elite. It happened in many cities that I actually talked about. There was like an auction where they found that most of the people who are getting the houses were Arabs, and the city canceled the auctions. And they canceled the auction saying that we want to preserve the city of Tarshiha as a Jewish, Zionist, secular country. So I don't know how Zionist and secular and would go and Zionists come in the same city. So
it's interesting too what question you're asking, right? Because like I'll sit there and if you want to read this real quick, I'll sit there and I'll talk to my friends in California, and I'll say, hey, California, this, I hate California. I hate this. I hate that. I hate this. And he's like, why don't you leave?
God, I love Patrick Bet David. He does remind me of Jank a little bit. He's like, I think he's like reverse Jank. You know what I mean? He's like evil Florida Jank.
I can't leave California. Why can't you leave California? Well, because my family's here, my unit's here, my kids are here, my uncle, my aunt, my grandma, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, got it. But I hate it here. I wish I was living in Texas or I was living in Florida, whatever, okay. Some people here, I can't believe, da-da-da. Okay, why don't you leave? Well, I can't, this, that. We lived in Iran. We lived in Tehran for 10 years. And I mean, I went to school there till 5th grade. I read, write, Farsi, everything till I left. And I went to Germany, right? I lived in Germany for a year and a half. And then we finally get here. Like, holy shit, we make it to America, right? It's like a dream. But the people that, it's not the people that can't leave that give the argument of why don't they leave. It's the people that can leave that choose to stay. Why do you choose to stay? Like, I'd love to have a room full of 50 people who are Arabs who can choose to leave Israel. Why are you not leaving? Make sense? Just to kind of get an idea. What would you say? Why are you not leaving, right? If you have the ability to leave, you can go to a different place. Why don't you choose?
Why do 2 million people in Gaza being bombed every single day for 100 days? Why don't they leave? Because that's their land. Right? So you can be living in a very shitty situation, but you will not leave because you know that you're not going to get back again. There's those people living in Gaza, 2.2 million people. They're living under subhuman conditions. They could leave. As a matter of fact, everybody pushing them to leave through Sinai and say, oh, no, we will not leave because this is our land. Sometimes you get connected to the land and it doesn't matter how bad. So to answer your question, why don't you leave? Because that's their land.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the Arabs.
Yeah, bro. There's like, okay, let's look something up, okay, really quickly. Population of Ohio. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the population of Ohio is 11.78 million. Okay, a question I ask myself all the time is, why the fuck do you live there? Okay, why? Why do you live in Ohio? And the answer is quite simple, as a matter of fact. For many people, it's all I know. For many others, maybe it's the economic hardship of moving away. Or maybe a lot of people like the attitude and the vibes of the Buckeye State. Okay? This is what has made Ohio the 7th most populous state in the nation. And you have far greater freedom of movement living in Ohio than you do in Gaza. Okay? And yet people still choose to live there. The goal isn't to evacuate Ohio. The goal should be to make sure that Ohio and everywhere else in the United States of America has decent material conditions. This is why I absolutely despise when people turn around and tell me, a person who chose to live in the United States of America, that if I don't like it, I should leave. And I hear this in different degrees, right? Different seasonings. Sometimes people will say, if you don't like it, leave, brother, you Muslim man, terrorist. And then other times I hear it from liberals who say, well, I hope you go and travel to Gaza so you can be obliterated by a Mark 84 rocket. Or I hope you go and travel to Yemen so you get obliterated by, yet again, this time a Mark 82 rocket. Now, notice how both of those rockets are American manufactured. It's very odd. Something to consider. And the point is, no, man, I'm an American citizen. I want to make America better. Like, that's my goal. Why are you sitting around and just saying that, no, things are good the way that they are? Let's not improve them. And if you don't like it, then just fucking leave is ridiculous. It's unpatriotic to say such things, okay? That's right. I want to make America great again, baby. Hell yeah.
In Israel. But
Yeah, because they consider that still their land.
Yeah, but there's so many different ways we can have this conversation. But everything for me comes down to socioeconomics, okay? To me, I'm always wondering, why is the Palestinian plight at the forefront of the news? Right now, we're starting to see Yemen in the news. People don't realize for 10 years there's been a civil war with the Houthi rebels, Saudis, Sunnis, Shiites, Iranian-backed militants killing each other. Never in the news. Syria, 10.
Is he doing black-on-black violence for the Middle East? That's awesome. It's so funny because the parallel is perfect, okay? He said, why doesn't anybody talk about black-on-black violence? And it is really, 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 really funny to make this to say this, because the exact same reasons, first of all, the exact same reasons why there's so much conflict in that region is identical to the reasons as to why there is, violence that occurs and violent crimes that occur in places where there is a above average black population. It is white supremacist conditions that have caused chaos and ripped through marginalized populations, leaving them underserved. Now, of course, the what about black on black violence argument is also obviously ridiculous because, once again, the percentages for black on black violence is identical to the percentages on white violence. Now, what does that tell you? The only thing that tells you is that people kill those in their immediate proximity, and America is a very segregated nation still. There you go. Stop paying attention to this genocide. This is the same Hasbro talking point. Israel's such a small country on the other side of the world. What's your obsession with the Jewish state? Exactly. It's always so funny to be like, to engage in this, like, Israel is a small being country. Guys, Israel is a small being country. Please, please let them do a little bit of a genocide. It's fine.
Tens and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people murdered. We know what's going on in Iraq, what's going on in Afghanistan. This is not an anomaly in the Middle East. But in my opinion, humbly, with all due respect, what's going on in Gaza is the equivalent of BLM in the States. What do I mean? So, black on black crime. every single weekend in
Are you not value-tained? Are you not value-tained? He said, I could be more racist. Just you wait, motherfucker. Woo! I love these kinds of arguments because it like genuinely shows to the people that watch, just become a grifter, dog. You got that shit unlocked. This is why I tell you, I can be the GOAT. Okay? I can be the best racist. Oh my Lord. Oh my fucking God, brother. God, people that say Hasan is a grifter, Hasan is a grifter. That's why I'm taking like deeply unpopular positions that I genuinely, believe, like seeing the humanity of people that are being bombed into oblivion, understanding where they might be coming from. Oh my Lord, dude. Oh, God, I could be so good. I could be so good to you, conservative movement in America. Oh my Lord. And God damn, all of those people who fucking hate me would be such fans of mine too. Anyway.
Baltimore and DC and Chicago, you name the city, there's black on black crime. Let one cop kill a black guy, George Floyd, national, international.
Yeah, I love that he is exactly. Because he's right wing, he doesn't understand that this comparison unironically does a pretty solid job of, I think, getting liberals to comprehend this, because they at least understand to a certain degree white supremacy, right? If they are, depending on like what level of liberal they are, they might be just as racist too. But like this argument actually, in my opinion, ends up causing liberals to reconcile their positions, like to recognize that I disagree. I think you would ironically push them far left, law, just to spite you. No. If there's one thing that the right loves, they love, no matter how much somebody is very openly a grifter, they still fucking love anyone that champions their positions. Yeah. It's too true. Matt Taibbi bragged that he makes more money now. Oh, yeah. Do you understand? Positioning Israel as the cop in this conversation and talking about why don't people talk about black on black violence is actually a great way to get liberals to understand the situation immediately, because it is a domestic policy issue that they kind of comprehend.
National news. In the Middle East, Yemen, Syria, Lebanon, you name it, Iraq, every day, Muslims are killing other Muslims. A lot of it is Islamists, fundamentalists. There's no marches, there's no protests, but
This is also not true. Okay. This narrative, once again, this narrative is ridiculous. And it's just pure racism. What do I mean by this? Let me tell you. The notion that black people don't care about black on black violence is one that only white people can champion, or white supremacist black people like Candace Owens. The idea that there aren't local community organizing happening that seek to try and make the best of the awful circumstances they're dealing with in the United States of America is silly. Moms Against Violence, I believe, is one group. There are so many people in black communities in the United States of America that absolutely try to combat violence in their own neighborhoods. Nobody's protesting about black on black violence is a ridiculous notion. Just as claiming that nobody is protesting in the Middle East about violence that Muslims are engaging with one another is also ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Of course. I mean, there's the Arab Spring is one great example of this. Okay? The issue, however, is always not revolts or revolutions that are happening internally. The issue is an outside superpower meddling in the affairs that always ends up leaving the country that America is interfering in rubble. Okay? The greatest example of this is Iraq. One of the most famous examples of this is Iraq and Afghanistan. Afghanistan is a civil war. USSR involvement comes in. It's devastating for the USSR. Taliban inevitably take over. America comes in, invades Afghanistan, 20 years of death and destruction. And what does America do? Pull out. Who's in charge? Taliban. With Iraq, America goes in, does a violent and brutal occupation, and the formerly nationalized oil industry of Iraq, of course, suspiciously finds itself in the hands of American oil companies. Okay. The oil and gas industry in the United States of America. And also Halliburton is sent in to fix the country that it destroyed. Who is the former CEO of Halliburton? Dick Cheney. Don't think about that either. What happens after America's invasion of Iraq? ISIS happens. Do you understand? Every time America gets involved in other countries, specifically in the Middle East, they do it for personal gain, and not even for the gain of like the average citizen in the United States of America. Because if you live in Missouri, you didn't see any of those fucking material gains, okay? Maybe your oil prices, sure. But overall, you didn't see like a genuine benefit. The consequences of that, the allocation of resources to continue enacting imperialist policy over there for our corporate profits, our corporate bottom lines, has actually been quite devastating for you because you don't have a decent infrastructure. You have no decent educational opportunities. You don't have a good job prospect. You don't have health care. You don't have any of these amenities that you're supposed to have living in the imperial core. You got nothing. Some of the super profits do trickle down, living in the living in the imperial core, being a part of the labor aristocracy. That much is true. Liberals recognize that reality, and especially liberals who defend American imperialism recognize that reality and continue to vociferously defend American imperialism for that reality. Okay? That's the whole concept behind, like, you can't get 20-cent bananas unless you just keep doing destabilization. Sorry. Sucks to suck. That kind of thing. Problem is, you don't get the bountiful treasures of American empire in the way that like other social democracies in Europe do. And part of that is because America is the most destabilizing force. So like they focus more so on death and destruction and maintaining the violent hegemonic superpower position that the United States has. So you don't even get the same kind of amenities. You don't get the same kind of amenities that like European social democracies have, which by the way, there's a time frame there as well. There's a shelf life to that European social democracy that Europeans take for granted. So that kind of privatization is coming for you too. Neoliberalism is impossible to avoid, unlike the top of the hour ad break, which of course is very possible to avoid. By subscribing, of course, for $5 or for free, you can avoid the top of the hour ad break. Europeans, you cannot avoid neoliberalism, but you can avoid the top of the hour ad break by getting gifted a sub as well. Here's a 3-minute ad break now. Americans are significantly wealthier than Euros, even clipping the extremes. Okay, so here's the problem. South Korea and Japan in rubble. Yeah, they're fucking so bad. Yeah, famously, South Korea and Japan, other communist nations. Okay. The issue is we do not think about the cost of living. We do not adjust to the actual cost of living in these countries. We do not have an appropriate way of deciding. We do not have an appropriate way of deciding like what the living conditions are in these countries. We just think, oh, high taxes, and also they don't get paid as much. You don't think about all the amenities that come along with living in a European country, from public transit, that walkable cities, and a better welfare structure, a better welfare state in general, healthcare, better public education. What that has, like what impact that has on the attitudes that people have, on the living conditions that people have, just the overall ease of life, better federally mandated protections in the workplace. These are all things that, one, Americans can't even dream about, and two, they don't even know exists in Europe. We talk about a country where there's no federally mandated time off for, having a child, no paternal leave, no federally mandated maternal leave, no days off, with the exception of, I guess, bank holidays, if you're lucky enough to be in a role that allows you to take time off in that situation. But we do not adjust. We do not adjust for the living conditions. We do not adjust for life expectancy. We do not adjust for even metrics that are incredibly difficult to comprehend, like happiness, okay? I guess it's entirely dependent on your worldview, but I don't personally think anybody looks at the overall GDP and goes, that's right, baby. Unless you're like a brain-broken neoliberal online or something. But nobody points to the stock market doing well to be like, well, I'm really happy because the stock market is doing well. Some people, I think, delude themselves into thinking that, when the stock prices are better, that they're doing better as well. And, because of our 401ks and ways in which the stock market losses are socialized, the gains are still relatively privatized, of course. People think that they have a stake in the fight, but you don't. You don't. Rainy draws a lot. Thank you for the 10 gifted subs, by the way. And also, thank you, Phil Aesthetics, for the 5 gifted subs. I don't think you know many white American boomers well enough. Have you spoken to my parents? Yeah, I know that, like, people delude themselves, unless they're in the upper crust, unless they're in the top 10% of wealth, which does own 90% of the stocks, the stonks. And many people fall under that category. America has a shit ton of millionaires. Okay? I'm going to pee.
Israel defends itself after October 7th, and I've seen you condemn Hamas for October 7th, but you've also sympathized with the Palestinians, as you should. But all of a sudden, that's the biggest story in the news. Why the distinguishment? Why can't Muslims
say... There's a difference between comparing conflicts, civil war, and then allowing another country to bomb you from the sky every single day for 100 days. You cannot compare the both. And actually, your tone of voice, when you say, oh, there is like black and black, Arabs killing each other. in your undertone is saying, yeah, they don't deserve to live, so let's Israel kill them.
0%.
This is exactly what you're saying. No, no, this is what you're
that's
saying.
not what I said.
No, this is what I'm saying.
I asked a question. You're reading into my tone.
You have absolutely no sympathy for the Palestinian killing because
That's not true at all. Don't put words in my mouth.
No, seriously.
I 100% have sympathy.
Your entrance into this conversation is extremely racist because you say, well, Arabs have been killing each other. First of all, the Arabs have been killing each other. These are called either proxy wars or civil wars. But this is different because the America is not standing behind Saudi Arabia voting every single UN resolution like Israel. Israel is killing Palestinians and nobody can do anything for them in the UN or the Security Council. Right? You can talk about how Saudis are killing the Houthis or the Yemenis or how Iran. But when they go to the Security Council, America doesn't use the veto. You know how many vetoes did America use since the inception of the Security Council? How many?
Tell me.
88. How many of those were they used in order to protect Israel from a veto?
0.
56.
Oh.
0.
The superpower of the world over 50 years used more than 65% of its veto power to protect one country. You cannot compare both.
So why do you think that is? Why is Israel so aligned with Israel? I'm sorry, why is U.S. so aligned with Israel over Gaza?
I don't know.
I know. Just say what it is. What do you mean? Like, that question is only a trap if you're an anti-Semitic person. Okay? You missed that he called him racist? Oh, he did? With Israel based, he knows, why is Israel only aligned with Israel? Yeah, it's a really simple answer. One that I've answered 1,000,000 times over. Israel is an American state, and an important American state, not like a shitty one, okay? Not like North Dakota. Like a cool American state that America cares about. There's a lot of commerce, okay? Not one filled to the brim with motherfucking cows. Israel is an American state that is a unsinkable aircraft carrier with its own tools of espionage that is smack dab in the middle of a resource-rich region. This is precisely the reason why. Precisely the reason why Joe Biden and others have said that if Israel didn't exist, we would make it. That's it. We would create it if Israel did not exist. We'd make a new one.
I mean, there's like a million.
Ask yourself.
There's a million. Why? So why?
I want to know.
Tell me, because they're white like them? Are they allowed to put people
Who's
up?
white?
No, I don't like this. I don't like this argument. This is where there is always let me tell you something. This is why there is always a deviation between liberals, and Bassem is a bit of a liberal, and socialists and leftists of the of a different variety. Okay? When did Brandon say we'd create Israel? Wow, so many people are unfamiliar with this. That's crazy. The Jewish lobby and military interest? No, man, it's not the Jewish lobby. First of all, AIPAC is not the Jewish lobby. You are missing the forest for the trees. Okay? You're missing the forest for the trees. And, teetering on what I would say, well, not even teetering on. If you're unfamiliar, I'm going to be as charitable as I possibly can. What is anti-Semitic? Okay? There are far more Christian Zionists in this country than there are Jewish Zionists in this country. The breakdown of Zionism versus anti-Zionism in this nation is almost identical to the breakdown of Zionism versus anti-Zionism demographically in every other subgroup in the country. You go down the age demographics and you realize that the closer you are to 18, the higher likelihood there is, no matter what your background is, you could be Jewish, you could be Christian, you could be Muslim. If you are closer to Gen Z, if you're 18 years old, if you're under the age of 35, the likelihood that you are going to be more sympathetic to Palestinians increases dramatically. Okay? It's important to recognize this. There are a shit ton more Christian Zionists. Then, beyond the Christian Zionists, the regular old Christian Zionists, Joe Biden is a Catholic Zionist, for example, there is also the evangelical Christian Zionism, which still, and that is the messianic, absolutely psychopathic, Armageddon-focused Christian Zionism. It's the most militant, most cult-like Christian Zionism in this country. It is responsible for the highest number of donations to the state of Israel, specifically to the West Bank expansion. Okay? So just remember that as well. Even those guys outnumber Jewish Zionists of the country 10 to 1. Okay? But if you were to ask me, Biden is a stealthy evangelical. Biden is literally openly Catholic. Yes, Biden is not a stealth evangelical, but that is pretty funny. I get what you're saying. He does have some evangelical ass perspectives from time to time. It is very hard not to be Protestantified if you are especially in a position in the WASP nationalist nation state of the United States of America. Did you see how your haters are seething about the Yemeni Timothy Chalamet interview? They are spreading memes about you interviewing a hot SS soldier and shit. Can I just say one funny thing about that? The irony is, you know who I would be interviewing in a time frame adjusted moment if we're going to go back to like World War II? I'd be interviewing the likes of Rosa Luxemburg, and the same liberals in the United States of America would be talking about how she's actually a fucking terrorist. That would be an equivalent here. These guys, or interviewing some other fucking Russian communist or some shit, okay? If we were to adjust it to the events leading up to World War II, there are examples of who I would be interviewing, and it's not motherfucking Nazis, okay? Rosa died in 1919. Shut up. I know. I said leading up to World War II. So, something to think about.
We're also going to discuss the ironclad commitment, and this is, I'll say this
Here you go.
5,000 times in my career, the ironclad commitment the United States has to Israel based on our principles, our ideas, our values. They're the same values. And I've often said, Mr. President, if there were not an Israel, we'd have to invent one.
It is the best $3 billion investment we make. Were there not an Israel, the United States of America would have to invent an Israel to protect her interest in the region. The United States would have to go out and invent an Israel.
We're also going to discuss the ironclad commitment, and this is, I'll say this 5,000 times in my career, the ironclad commitment.
There you go. For those of you who are wondering, like, what, when did Biden say that? Well, there it is. Biden has said a lot worse stuff than just that, for the record. Okay.